Welcome to Let's Talk Thyroid, where we explore different aspects of living a healthy thyroid lifestyle, positively and practically, to help you thrive and not just survive. Join me, Annabelle Bateman, your host, and Let's Talk Thyroid. This podcast has been proudly supported by, me. I am fully backing my podcast and getting the Let's Talk Thyroid message out to you. If you are interested in purchasing essential oils, that is one of the ways that you can support me and I can support you, and essential oils can support your overall thyroid health and wellness. So if that's something that you would like to add to your health and wellness toolkit of resources that you can access to support you in a number of different ways, send me a message. I'd love to help you find what suits your individual needs and budget. Or you can head to annabellebateman.com and follow the links there to essential oils. Think digestive support, stress management, reducing your toxic load, all sorts of ways that we can use essential oils as part of our overall lifestyle approach to managing health and wellness. Today we're going to have a bit of a chat about what a thyroid wellness lifestyle is. What on earth does that mean? Because for most of us, when we're diagnosed with a thyroid issue, we're told by the doctor, just go home, take this medication, you'll be fine, come back and see me in 3, 6, 12 months, whatever. And so we do it. We go home, we take our medication, and maybe we start to feel better, but not completely better, not back to how we used to feel. And so we start doing a whole lot of reading and research, and we'll find podcasts like this or websites or books. We start doing a whole lot of reading and research, and we might find programs that help tackle thyroid issues. We might dive into, keto or paleo or autoimmune protocol or going gluten-free or dairy-free or a whole range of different things, and it can get a bit overwhelming. And so then we're really not too sure what we're supposed to be doing. And, after we've tried, one thing after the next, it can get a bit disheartening if we're not getting the results that we want. And so I want to have a chat about this concept of our thyroid health and wellness needing to take that lifestyle approach, because it has to be sustainable. Like if you've got a thyroid issue like me, I've got Hashimoto's, we're going to live with that for the rest of our lives. So we want to live with it well. We want to live with it in a way that we're just, we've got vitality, we've got energy, we've got enthusiasm for life. And part of that has to be that we're not on a treadmill. We're not constantly on a treadmill. And I know I spent a good couple of decades of my life on some sort of diet or program, and I'm still up for that. And I'm going to tell you a bit about a 30-day challenge that I'm running. But the important part of what I have learned is that it's not much good doing a special diet or program if you can't maintain at least some of the elements of that and integrate them into a lifestyle, because that's how we're actually going to feel good in the long run, is when it's just caught up in our daily routine, our day-to-day. It's just the way we live. So what we're going to cover today is, what is a thyroid wellness lifestyle? Well, what it's not, first of all, what it is, and some key factors that, at least in my reading and research, seem to be pretty common, and are things that we can integrate into a day-to-day lifestyle over time. We don't have to do it all at once, and I'll get to that. So first of all, what isn't a lifestyle? What isn't living a thyroid wellness lifestyle? I don't know, I'm a bit tripping over my words there. Well, first of all, it's not a diet. It's not just another diet that we follow that we get sick of after a month or 2 months or 3 months. Or if you're anything like me, maybe 2 days. It's not about perfection. It's not about following some program to the letter endlessly, like forever. It's really not about perfection. It's about going with the ebbs and flows of life. I'll come to the what it is. I'm still in the what it's not. It's not having a healthy thyroid and a healthy thyroid lifestyle is not just about an annual checkup with your doctor. It's not, just getting your bloods tested once a year and checking in with a doctor who may not know a whole lot about managing thyroid issues. It's not meant to be another stress. Like, it's meant to be just part of our day-to-day life, not an added burden or stress on top of that. And it's not meant to be overwhelming. I mean, I guess when we're learning or implementing new things, there is a learning curve. But overall, I guess living a thyroid wellness lifestyle is not about all the reading and research, but then getting lost in the application. So I think what's better to focus on is what it is. Like, what does that mean? Or at least this is what it means to me. Primarily it means taking responsibility for my own health and not, delegating that to a doctor or a health practitioner or even to someone like me who might say these are the things that have worked for me. It really is about taking that responsibility for yourself and managing your own health and wellness in a way that works for you. And so that, I guess, is a daily choice, isn't it? Like what we think about, what we do, the way we exercise, what we put in our mouth, all our daily choices. So the other thing that it is it is a process, and I know the word journey gets bandied around, and it can be a bit, I don't know, a bit naff, but it actually is true, and I suppose that's why it still gets used, and I still talk about it too. It is a journey, like it is twists and turns and ups and downs depending on stages of life, what's going on the day-to-day level. And there are ebbs and flows in life, and there needs to, I think, be ebbs and flows in the way that we manage our health and wellness, because is part of life and a lifestyle. I think a thyroid wellness lifestyle is also, it's incremental. So it's something that develops over time, and maybe, we kickstart it in one focused effort, but really if we're looking at it over a longer period of time, it needs to be incremental. So for example, the biggest change I've made really historically for my health has been diet, and I first did that with a 30-day challenge about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's similar from a food point of view to what I will talk about in my Kickstart Your Thyroid Wellness Lifestyle Challenge, and in that it was about removing all the anti-inflammatory or typically inflammatory foods. So after that, I felt pretty amazing. I'd cut out gluten, grains, dairies, legumes, sugars, alcohol, all sorts of things, pretty hardcore, and I felt great, but I didn't maintain all of it. I absolutely maintained the gluten-free, and I think that's been the one thing that hasn't changed, and I know I've talked about that before. The grain-free is sort of larger. The dairy-free I've come and gone with. But recently, I have been aware that my gut has been a little bit out, and we talked recently about going dairy-free, and after I recorded that episode, I went and had an appointment with Sharon Wilford, one of the beautiful naturopaths that I see, and she did some of her testing, and she's like, yeah, you're not really responding well with dairy at the moment. I'm like, I know, I just jinxed myself. I recorded a whole episode on going dairy-free, saying that I can still do a bit, but so I've really been making more of a concerted effort to remove more of the dairy from my diet, but we're talking incremental over years, I suppose. So that's what I mean by incremental. Like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing all the time, but over a period of time, we want to be doing more and more things that are going to be reducing inflammation in our bodies, reducing stress, and giving our bodies the opportunity to feel amazing and to really have, that thriving feeling. I think taking a lifestyle approach really does take a long-term mindset. And so it's about reframing, because if you are like me and have spent decades of your life on a diet, it can take a lot of work to reframe your thinking around food and maybe even body image. those types of things, and to see your food as part of a lifestyle. It's certainly not the whole part, but to see that as nourishing and focusing on health and wellness, not on losing weight or a certain number on a scale or inches on a tape measure. So it does take that long-term switch mindset. But it is something that you can decide. You can actually make a decision to start or to adapt a healthy thyroid lifestyle. It really can be as simple as, right, I've done lots of reading, I've done lots of research, there's probably lots of things I could do, but here's the one thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to cut gluten out, or I'm going to try a paleo diet, or I'm going to focus on managing my day-to-day levels of stress, or I'm going to start incorporating essential oils into my daily routine to help with support that stress management. You might be the sort of person that wants to tackle a few things at once. That tends to be something that I do. That tends to be my personality, but we're not all the same, and we're not all in the same point, I guess, or stage in life. So whether you decide to think of your thyroid health in terms of a lifestyle is a choice that you can make. And so I just want to cover now the key factors that, for me, make up a healthy thyroid lifestyle. And these are certainly the key factors that I suppose I focus on in what I talk about, what I share in the Let's Talk Thyroid community, and what I will be covering in the Kickstart Your Thyroid Wellness Lifestyle Challenge, which is coming up in October. So the key factors really, and I'll go into each of these in a little bit more detail, but they're diet. I don't mean going on a diet, but as in the food that you eat. So food, maybe food's a better way of putting. Key factors would be food, stress, sleep, mindset. They're probably the keys. I do think it is important to investigate things that are our triggers, and we have talked about that before. What are the things that could be triggering that autoimmune response if your thyroid issue is autoimmune in nature? Because I think that's part of then the avoiding things. I think probably actually one of the other key factors would be reducing our toxic load, which is part of the triggers, I suppose. It's that exposure to a whole lot of environmental toxins is a key part of lifestyle changes, is to switch to a low tox lifestyle. So let's just dive into all of these in a little bit. I'm not going to go into heaps of detail because I have talked about these before. If you really want to dive into the food aspect, you might want to check out the Going Gluten-Free Part 1 and Part 2 episodes, the Going Dairy-Free episode. So they would probably be good practical episodes to go into in terms of more detail in food. But when we're talking about food being a key factor as part of a lifestyle, well, obviously we all eat every day, don't we? So it is something that we do every day that is either feeding inflammation or reducing inflammation. Like everything that we eat is either, well, probably it's not either good or bad. That's probably not the right terminology, but it is taking us towards health or away from health. And so that's why from all of what I have read, researched, the people I've talked to both on this podcast and outside of that, it seems to me that the best approach, or at least as a starting approach for food, would be to look at the foods that typically are inflammatory. So they are the gluten, grains, dairy, sugar, sometimes legumes. And look, sometimes for people with autoimmune issues, there are other food groups that can be inflammatory. So eggs can be nuts, seeds, and your nightshades. So things like tomatoes, eggplant, capsicum, chili. So the full autoimmune protocol, and you can research that, either AIP or autoimmune protocol, really cuts out all those things. And so if you're in a really inflamed state, you might need to really do some research into that autoimmune protocol. My understanding is that that's not designed to be a long-term lifestyle approach, though. That is meant to be, some core things to look at removing, but some of those other things, it's about working out what triggers you. Like, are you... so that's why I tend to focus on the core, I guess what I call the core ones, which would be gluten, grains, dairy, sugar. Because they tend to be the most common foods that people have issues with. So that would be a key factor, is really looking at your food, like certainly reducing processed food, unhealthy fats. So, your trans fats, your seed oils, things like certainly margarine, but focusing on your healthy fats. Things like your avocado, olive oil, coconut oil. I use a lot of macadamia oil. And your fats from, good quality meat sources. So focusing on good quality food, nutrient-rich food. So good quality protein, I guess I would say, buy as high quality as you can afford. That is different for all of us with our different budgets. But if you can afford it, buy the best quality that you can. Same with fruits and vegetables, buy organic where you can. Same with eggs. All of our food needs to be as best quality as we can afford, so that we can really get the most value out of it, the most nutrients, the most, most energy, that they're going to be working for us the best. So certainly, food is something that we do, that we eat every day. So part of a lifestyle has to be our food in one way or another. The second key factor is stress, and managing our stress is something that has become more and more apparent just how important that is. And we'll cover that in more detail in some future episodes. I think that warrants multiple episodes and probably multiple approaches, but because stress means different things to each of us. Like what I perceive to be stressful might be not at all stressful for you, and vice versa. So it's, I think it's fairly subjective. And the other thing that I've noticed with stress is that I can feel in my life that life is not that stressful, but my body can still be responding in a way that creates a stress response. So, for example, I might feel okay, like look, the reality is I'm very lucky. I have a stable family life. I have great friends and family. I have a job, and we have income. My children are healthy. On the big picture, I've got nothing really to be stressed about. At this point in time, I'm incredibly grateful. But that doesn't mean that I don't get stressed. I get frustrated when I see the boys mucking around on their computers and they've got assignments due the next day, or I get cross when they haven't emptied the dishwasher when I've asked, or they're not getting out of bed when I've asked, or all those sorts of little things. But if I focus on them and I let them get to me, that has a stress impact on my body, even though really I know in the scheme of things they're not really that big. They're not the big ticket items to be stressed about. So learning how to manage that day-to-day stress can have a really massive impact, and it has to become part of our lifestyle, because stress is a big trigger for autoimmune issues. And if we can't take a step back and look at what's going on in our day-to-day and identify what is causing us stress. Is it an unhealthy relationship? Is it something going on at work? Is it the fact that you do or don't have work? Is your health causing you stress? There's lots of different things, and I think to let them go and not give those things credit is dangerous. I do think that we really do have to manage that stress well. And whether that's saying no to things, working out how to set boundaries, boundaries with ourselves, but maybe boundaries with social media. That's certainly something I could work on. Boundaries in relationships, or, whether it's saying to your kids, no, you can't do every activity you want to do. Maybe the running around after your kids is causing a lot of stress, and well, ultimately we're the adults, we're in control of those things. We're probably actually in more control of a lot of the day-to-day than we think we are. That's my suspicion, is that we really could accept more responsibility for those day-to-day stresses than we do. We think that we can't change things when maybe we can. Maybe we can. So, it's taking that audit, of what is causing stress and learning some tactics. So when you're feeling your heart race or your mind race, what are some tactics that you can use to break the circuit? So, maybe you want to learn some deep breathing techniques. Maybe you are someone that enjoys listening to some guided meditation. For me, I like to have essential oils to grab. Like I can pull something out of my purse and roll it on my wrist, take a big deep breath, and I can just feel that, calm wash over me. It might just, I guess, lead into the next point, which is sleep, and we just need to be getting better sleep. So sleep would be another of the key factors, is that we do need to be getting good quality sleep. We need to have good sleep routines. We need to be having, a good, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And look, I'm not the expert on sleep. This is certainly an area of struggle for me. But I have a whole sleep routine, I suppose, that I have found, that I've worked and I work it each night. And that seems to help guide me into sleep. Because I do know how important it is to get that right. So key factor number 4, so we've done food, stress, sleep. 4 would be mindset, and I did talk about that before. Like it really is, we have to see that managing our health is not a burden, it's not a stress, it's not a quick fix, it's something that we need to do over a period of time. And we can. We've got a whole lifetime to deal with this. We don't have to deal with everything all at once. So that is a mindset shift. Maybe we do a lot of reframing, or maybe we do a lot of changing the self-talk, the way that we talk to ourselves. We can always also look at the way that we talk about ourselves, the way we talk about our health, the way it's curious to listen to your own self-talk and to listen to the way you talk about yourself and your health to other people too, because all of that has an impact on our mindset. Do we see our lives are ruined by having a thyroid issue? Or, do we see it as an opportunity to focus on health and wellness? I don't know, that's an ebb and flow thing too. Certainly there are sometimes I would think, oh my gosh, could there be another thing that goes wrong with my body? And then other times where I'm feeling quite good and, and grateful that, in a sense, that I've been forced to really look at what really has become a healthy lifestyle, and not just being able to get out of a lot of that negative thinking. So, focusing on affirmations is helpful. Just, I was talking last week with Dr. Dion, the interview about brain health and thyroid health. And we do cover a little bit there about affirmations and the way you think and having a purpose bigger than yourself, and just that mindset as being so important. And the thing that I found so encouraging from that episode was that we can change, that our brains are very plastic, that we have neuroplasticity, our brains are very changeable. We can rewire our brains to change the way we're thinking. So I think that's a really key factor. And the final key factor is that reducing our toxic load. That is definitely a lifestyle factor. It's something that we can do over time, just gradually as we're replacing makeup or personal care products or cleaning products, or the water that we drink. The supplements that we take, the toothpaste that we use, all those things can be avenues for toxins to be entering our bodies or not. And so, certainly that environmental toxic load, toxins, can be a common trigger. We talked about that. Dr. Karatsian talks about that. I think I've mentioned that multiple times before. But that's a really easy thing to build into a lifestyle over time. And again, it's an incremental thing. So just, some people want to clear out their whole underneath their sinks and replace all of those chemical-laden products with natural alternatives. Other people will just replace one at a time, as your, say, surface spray runs out, you might want to replace it with a natural alternative surface spray, or make your own with some vinegar and water, maybe add a few essential oils. The first thing I did actually with reducing toxic load years ago was replacing my skincare. And this was way before I was using essential oils or any of the doTERRA products. But I switched to makeup brands that were more natural, more low tox. So that was the first thing I did, that sort of moisturizer. I switched to jojoba oil. I switched to, a lot of the makeup I used back then was Nude by Nature. So just like natural makeup, and it's pretty easy to find these days. So that was a really simple way of reducing that toxic load. So they're, again, things that can happen over a period of time. Even recently, within the last few months, we've gone and put in water filter systems in the house. And so now that added level of reducing chlorine and fluoride and what other chemical load that's in our water is now removed from our household. And the other thing that we did more recently was replaced pretty much all of our plastic containers with glass. So I'd already been doing that over time, but just sort of took that next step. I went to Kmart, bought quite a lot of glass containers, and so now was able to get rid of a whole lot of plastics, which I think is better anyway, certainly better for our health. But the more I learned more about just how important it is to not be having things in plastic that we're consuming, like water and food. And so incremental change. All right, well, I'll go and I'll switch those things out. So absolutely don't have to do everything all at once, but I think they are some key factors to incorporate over time in a healthy, thyroid-friendly lifestyle. So having said all of that, I know that sometimes it's easy to know what to do, but actually doing it is an entirely different thing. I totally get that. Like, I know it's good for me to go out and get some sunlight each day, get some vitamin D, sun on my skin, just for a few minutes. And I think because I know I should do that, I know I can do that, I know I have done that, I know it's good for me, sometimes I forget to actually do it. And so unless I actually do it, I'm actually not getting the sun on my skin, and I'm not, naturally producing that vitamin D. So, and I often say to my essential oil customers, they're only going to work if you open them. That they won't work or give you any benefit if they just sit on a shelf. So I know that it's easy to know all the things to do, and it's another thing to know how to implement that into your day-to-day life. I really do understand that. And so that's why, this is a long-term conversation. This is something that we can talk about over years. If we're all sticking around in the podcast for the next few years, then it's something that we can cycle back to regularly, because we're going to be living this regularly, and you can just take things up a notch or down a notch depending on where you're at. So that's the whole benefit of it being a lifestyle, is you don't have to get it all right all the time, all at once. But if you do want to kickstart, let's look at this as a bit of a kickstart. So from the 5th of October, I'm running a 30-day challenge. And the idea is to kickstart this lifestyle. So if you've got a few aspects of a healthy thyroid lifestyle that you would like to start incorporating in your day-to-day, and so it's not just head knowledge, but it becomes incorporated in a day-to-day. If you'd like some support with that, if you'd like to do that in a group, if you'd like to do that with a bit of added guidance, and if you'd like to do that with like drawing a line in the sand and saying, right, I'm going to kickstart this healthy thyroid lifestyle. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that decision. I'm going to do it with some like-minded people. I'm going to get some support so that beyond the 30 days, you've got some tools, you've got some habits, you've got some things that are integrated and really begun to be integrated into your day-to-day life so that you can continue in that lifestyle. I really don't want to be promoting do something for 30 days and then you're done. That is not what I'm about, and that is not what this challenge is about. So if you're wanting like a quick 30-day fix to drop a few kilos, this is not the program for you. And to be honest, I'm probably not the person for you if that's what you want, because I've been there, I've done that. I don't think it works. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's sustainable. But if you're looking for a lifestyle approach, if you're looking for some practical tools, if you're looking for some recipes, if you're looking for some ideas to how to use essential oils, if you're looking for some affirmations to help you work on that mindset, if you're looking for some strategies to learn how to deal with that day-to-day management of stress, if you're looking for ways to reduce your toxic load, not to add knowledge, but in a really practical way, and have that support of others to do it and of me, then I would love you to consider joining the 30-day challenge. Don't even consider it. I'd just love you to join. So all you need to do is head to my website, annabellebateman.com. You'll see the link there to join the challenge. It's only $47, which is pretty crazy. I don't even know what that is, less than a cup of coffee a day. So I would love you to join in. All the information is there. Or if you've got questions, just shoot me an email or a message. Join the Let's Talk Thyroid Facebook group, because we can ask questions in there. There will be a separate private Facebook group for the challenges so that we can just provide that added level of support and encouragement to each other. So if that sounds like something that you'd like, this is an action-oriented program. It's not about lots of information and education. You've already got that. And I mean, you'll get what you need for the challenge, but this is not about providing you with a whole heap of information. This is about helping you implement what you know so that it can become integrated and part of your lifestyle, so that you will see those long-term benefits in your health. So there you have it. Would love to see you in the challenge. Bye. Did you know that one of the things that I offer is a free 30-minute strategy session? So if you want the opportunity to sit down with me, talk about your health goals and make a plan, create some action steps, or just talk things through with someone who gets it, then more than happy for you to book in for a strategy session. I'll put the link to that in the show notes. Send me a message and I'd love to connect with you. Have an awesome week, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Let's Talk Thyroid. I would love it if you would subscribe to the podcast and share it with others that you know with thyroid problems. Let's get the message out there. If you'd like to connect with me further, the best place to do that is via my website, annabellebateman.com. From there, you'll be able to join my Facebook group, book a strategy session with me, download my freebie, and access any show notes for this episode. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
The information presented and discussed in this podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease and should not be used as a substitute for proper advice from a qualified professional.